So, The Flash Season 3. What do I think about it? Well, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was the best season. I didn't think it was the worst. Let's get into the reasons why. First off, with The Flash, you have to think about this. Season 1 was the best season I've ever seen of any TV show, basically of all time. It was that good. So when Season 2 came out, and it wasn't quite as good, and the villain was a little, you can kind of see why the show took a dip. So why Season 3 had to be just as good as Season 1. And the biggest reason why the things were different was because it was the speedsters of the series. Reverse Flash, amazing. Zoom kinda changed the story. So when Season 3 came out, I was like, okay, that's enough speedster villains for now. We can get back to it later, but let's do something else. So Season 3 started with one of the biggest things of all time. Flashpoint. And it was only for one episode. That sucks. But I thought it was well handled. I wish it would have been a little longer. But the villain, well, let's just say I was a little disappointed in him. Because he was a speedster. Why? It was the rival from Flashpoint that kind of carried over into the next episode of the season. He was a fine character. It's just I didn't want another speedster villain. And I knew he wasn't going to be the main villain, but it's just like, come on, do something other than a speedster. Please. 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 And in that last after Flashpoint ended, it was like alchemy. It was written on a thing. He was supposed to be the main villain. He was going, all the rumors, all the things. It was going to be Doctor Alchemy. It was going to be so cool, and it was finally not going to be a speedster villain. And in this right here, this point I'm making, lies my biggest problem with Season 3 of The Flash on the CW. Julian was introduced as like kind of a after point from the Flashpoint. He was someone that worked with Barry Allen at CCPD, and he was kind of an interesting character, but didn't really get along with Barry that much. And they started finding husks around the city because of Flashpoint, and they later found out for them to be villains, and it was all Barry's fault. But this is one of my worst things about the season, because it made Cisco a really bad character. Because up until then, Cisco had been, to be honest, one of the best things about the show. He was a funny character, he gave life to it, and when Season 2 started to get a little darker, he was the one that still made it fun. And right there is what they screwed up with this season, because of Flashpoint. So after Barry gets back from Flashpoint, we realize that Iris and Joe aren't talking, and that Dante, Cisco's brother, died in a car crash, and apparently he kept asking Barry, go back in time, please save him, and Barry kept saying no, because he wasn't supposed to mess with time anymore. That's kind of the whole point of this season. And then Cisco got really mad, and it became like kind of a thing where Cisco hated Barry, which first off, sucks, because that was one of the best relationships on the show, was the best friendship of Barry and Cisco, and that never failed. And it started to fail this season. Why? Because his brother died. But it makes no sense, because Cisco hated his brother in Season 1, and he barely got anything to do in Season 2. So why was he so mad? He didn't even like his brother. And, why? And in the midst of all of this Flashpoint stuff came the Dominators, which was an alien that came in the Fortnite crossover, which was pretty cool. But this is where Cisco told everyone what Barry did. It got rid of a whole, but it even affected the other TV shows, and everyone started to turn on Barry, and I can't stand when TV shows, when their main character becomes, excluded from the rest of the group, and I hate that, and it's really awkward to watch. And they did the same thing at the beginning of Season 2 with Barry pushing everyone away after the wormhole from Season 1, and they did the exact same thing here, and I couldn't stand that. And it was just, why are you making Barry the villain? It doesn't make any sense. Please stop. No, it's just, no. Cisco, go away, please. This is around the time we also start to find out that Caitlin is becoming Killer Frost, the one that we saw her Earth 2 counterpart in Season 2. And that was something everyone always wanted. They always wanted to see Caitlin being Killer Frost. And it was cool. But then you take a step back and you're like, wait, they're going to get rid of the Caitlyn character, aren't they? No, don't do that. She's a part of the main cast. And then we get introduced to another new character, which is kind of up and down for me. HR, the Harrison Wells from Earth 19. And I don't know, he's kind of a comic relief character. He doesn't really do a whole lot to the story until later on. And he's just he's not a scientist. He doesn't bring anything to the group except really dumb ideas. And it was so sad to see Tom Cavanaugh, the awesome actor, reduced to basically being a comic relief character this season. And that's another thing I didn't quite like about it. But back to the actual, why I didn't like this season as much. It was revealed that Julian is alchemy, and surprise if you're 3 years old. Everyone could see that coming. It wasn't that much of a surprise. That's one of the things I don't like about this season, is that its writing was kind of predictable. I mean, the actual dialogue and the stuff in between that was cool, but the big reveals were just kind of well, duh, of course that's going to be what it was. And it wasn't really surprising to anyone that I knew. All of us that were watching The Flash were like, yeah, Julian's alchemy, and oh, yeah, he is. So, that was stupid. But I still like the character, but again, this is where Season 3 took a dip. Again. And this time, I'm not sure if it quite recovered ever again. So, why did it take a dip? Well, they got rid of Dr. Alchemy. Okay, wait, he can't be the main villain then, because that doesn't make any sense, because if he's not there anymore, then who's the main villain gonna be? And of course, it was predictable, and of course, we all knew what it was gonna be as soon as we saw him. And that was stupid. We don't know who the actual guy was inside the suit, but it was again, come on guys, do better writing. It was this new guy named Savitar, and he's a speedster. Are you kidding me? Again? I thought we got rid of that. Why? We had 2 of them already. Why do we need another one? Do Dr. Alchemy. Why? I guess I have to get into the reasons why. He was trying to become a god, and he was, the way they explained it, he was a guy from the future, he was the very first speedster to ever exist, and he was wiping out all speedsters that posed a threat to him, okay? And he was kind of a cool character, and at first he was completely CGI, and we got to see him running, it was awesome. And then, at the actual mid-season finale, we saw a huge twist that completely changed Season 3 forever. What was it? Well, it was Barry got flushed into the future and saw this. Iris getting impaled by Savitar. She was going to die, and Savitar was going to make Barry go super dark. And he took him out, and then it was they saw a date, they saw a TV, and then everyone was like, oh, that's new. Is this going to be... Yep. For the rest of the season, it was all about stopping Savitar from killing Iris. Which I guess was a cool idea, but I think they showed it too early, because by the time it actually happened at the end of the season, sort of, we had seen it so many times, it was well, it's not new, it's not as powerful as it could have been if we just saw on the TV, Iris dies by Savitar. And then, we get a date and Barry has to stop him before that date, but we don't actually get to see what happens to her. That would have been really cool, and it would have gave emotion to the scene that happens later on in the season. Well, let's get back to the review for the rest. So yeah, after that whole experience, Barry came back and he was trying to stop Savitar, and they had to tell everyone what was going to happen, including Joe, who obviously didn't take the news good, because, his daughter was going to die. We got a few episodes without Savitar, and then he came back near the end, and we're like, yay, this is the huge build-up! Who is Savitar? We hadn't found out yet, and we were like, this is gonna be great! And then the writing screwed up again, and it was one thing happened, and narrowed down to 2 people. Who was it? Well, it was. And then the episode happened when Caitlyn full-on became Killer Frost, and they were in a forest, and Savitar came out of his suit and stepped out, and we got to see his foot. And then Caitlyn was like, what do you want me to do? So she instantly trusted him. Who were the only 2 people she would instantly trust like that? Well, the popular theory was Ronnie Raymond, her former husband. And then a lot of people were like, wait, no, it could be Barry too. Those were the two people, and Barry had been the villain up until that point, basically, because of Flashpoint. So we got the build-up, and then Barry came up with a whole bunch of stuff, and he found out who he was. And it was Barry! Really? Didn't I say making him the bad guy was a bad idea? Why? That made, I mean, I guess you can kind of see it, and I did predict it in my thing. I was like, okay, well, there were two people, and I think it's going to be Barry. And again, that's a problem with the writing. All of the twists this season were predictable. Barry was Savitar. Then we got an awesome showdown at the end. Or did we? I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. I guess you should explain a little more. It wasn't Barry himself, it was a Time Revenant version of Barry from the future who was thrown away and became exiled from the group. And he became really mad and upset, and it was like, okay, wait, that doesn't make any sense, because if Savitar was the first speedster and Barry wasn't, then how... Again?! They changed the writing! They did the same thing with Zoom last season, where it doesn't make any sense between the two. Why was he the first? That doesn't make any sense! Even the showdown at the end didn't make much sense, because all Barry had to do was vibrate himself into the Savitar suit, and then get rid of it, and then Barry was erased from time because he screwed with his time, and now Barry wouldn't become Savitar. That was way too easy. Why didn't you do that the first time you met him? Just there, season over. From, the 4th episode. Ugh. Man, they screwed up the writing this season. Now, I know what makes this sound like that I really hate this season. I don't. It was fun. It was cool. It's just the writing was predictable. So for the next season, please don't make it a speedster. Oh, wait. They already said it wasn't going to be a speedster? Yes! Who is it going to be? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Defoe? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of Season 3 in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye!